we haven't seen this period represented very much in movies, in books, in life. I wanted to become a mother, and I still had no idea because I'd never seen it. I'd never had any exposure to the postpartum period.
I'm Miranda Rick.
And I'm Sarah Wheeler, and this is The Mother of It All, where we take on motherhood through the lens of culture and culture through the lens of motherhood. Welcome to today's show. We're going to cut the chit chat today and get right to our guests. We have two guests today, which is very exciting. We're always growing and challenging ourselves. And we're just too excited to talk to them. Our guests come to us fresh off of releasing their film, Another Happy Day, which is billed as a postpartum depression comedy, a fabulous three-word phrase, and is now streaming on Prime and Apple Plus. The movie is tender and heart-wrenching and beautiful and fucking hilarious, just like motherhood, and includes, we feel, a career-defining performance by its lead actress. Or actor. I don't know if we're saying actor or actress.
I guess I call myself an actor, but
you self-identify as an actor.
I don't feel that I'm not an actress.
Right. You're supposed to ask people. You want to be called an actor. Okay.
I don't care.
Thank you. It portrays so many aspects of the postpartum experience that we, despite how much we talk about it, have seen little of in the media, like the ways it can both strain and deepen your relationships, the identity shifts that parents undergo, especially in relation to work and creativity, the tyranny of nap schedules. When I finished watching it with my husband, he gave me a very long hug and said, and I'll try not to cry. No, I won't. I'll just do whatever. I'm sorry it was so hard for you. I'm sorry I didn't understand. So this is what we call...
No, I want to cry. Oh my
I know,
gosh.
it's okay. You can.
Oh my
This is what we call in my
goodness.
family a street Oscar. So that is your street Oscar. So obviously we had to
Thank
get
you. I
the
love
two
that.
of you on to talk about what this film means to you, what you hope it means to others, and what it was like to be on a movie set that seemingly was designed for parents. So I will introduce you each. Nora Fiffer is here. She's a writer, director, producer, and actor. Is that your pronoun?
I am
Your
also an actor.
professional
yes.
pronoun?
Mhm,
Who has
thanks.
co-written 11 plays and directed or produced 2 short films. And Another Happy Day is amazingly her first feature film. Welcome, Nora.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. And Lauren Lapkus is an actor. I'm learning. Comedian.
Comedian.
And podcastress. You might know her from her
That
roles
one's right.
on Orange. It's a different thing. On Orange is the New Black and Crashing. Or if you may have listened with pure joy to her podcast Freedom, or many of her appearances on Comedy Bang Bang or Improv for Humans. She's also a performer at the UCB Theater in LA. Is this still true, Lauren?
That is
you're,
true.
You're out there, like hitting
Yeah, I mostly perform.
pounding the pavement.
I pound the pavement. I mostly
love-
perform at Dynasty Typewriter and Largo nowadays, but I
Oh
do
my God,
stuff
I
at
miss
UCB from
LA.
time to time.
All right, I'm coming down.
Yeah. Come.
Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
So we always open the show by asking our guests who's caring for your kids right now. Nora, you want to go first?
Sure. Well, I'm on the East Coast over here, so it's after school time. So my kids usually walk from school to my theater studio. And they like knock on the door, open the door while we're having rehearsal, help themselves to a seltzer. It's pretty charming until they kind of melt down.
Like 6 minutes into that?
Yeah,
or-
exactly. Just about 6. Yeah, 6 minutes I get to keep working, and then I have to pivot and just feed them ginger snaps. Today, because I'm chatting with you guys, they walked and met my husband in town, and they're hanging out with their dad.
Who's walking them, or are they just walking, or
They're
is it
just
so safe that it's like
loose walking here in this small town?
that
How
is
old are your
amazing.
kids?
They're 9 and 5. So
Okay.
then the 9-year-old is a caretaker for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
But that's
yeah,
so
yeah.
nice
Lots
to
of
be able to
eyes
do that.
on the children in these parts. It's a really sweet town.
The good kind of eyes.
The good
not like
kind.
calling
The good
CPS
kind.
eyes. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so
Wow.
sweet.
It's so
That's
lovely.
beautiful. And Lauren, who's caring for your kiddos right now?
My 3-year-old is at school. And then my 5-month, almost 6-month-old is at the park with her nanny, who we just hired last week, and I'm very, very grateful. that she is
Congratulations.
here.
Was that a long
Life-changing.
process?
It was years long because I didn't have any help with my first child, really. Just part-time people here and there, like, oh, we got her for 10 hours a week this week. We got her for 4 hours next week. It's like so random. And we just did not want to. We felt very stressed about having that new person that we couldn't imagine being part of our lives. And then once I had the second kid, I was like, I just need whoever it is to like get over here. Like I was just like, I gotta find this person today. So no, and she's wonderful. I'm so happy. I interviewed a few people and found a wonderful person that we're very happy with. But it was it's been life-changing just in the 8 days that she's worked already. I'm like, yeah, needed this to happen. No way to do everything otherwise.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Every time
Congratulations.
a parent finds good childcare, an angel gets its wings.
Yeah.
It feels that way. I feel like I have wings now because I can leave the home.
Oh, you leave that? Yeah, 5-month-old.
I do leave
I
the
mean,
home.
that's real. That's the
Yeah.
realness.
Yeah.
right here.
You're the most in it of all of us.
True. How old are your kids?
Yeah. Mine are 3 and 6.
Oh, nice.
So,
I have 8 and 6.
Wow.
Yes.
All right.
so yeah, Lauren wins.
Look at us with
The
our
most. Are you still up in the night? Is it okay?
I am
to ask?
indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm up every night.
Oh, boy.
My mostly for the older one of this. Strangely, I don't know. She's doing all sorts of stuff now. So
yeah.
it's like when you think you're getting it
Yes.
down with the other one, the other one's got something. They
Is your
want to
older one mad at you about the second?
She's so in love with her sister. It's really sweet, but
Aw.
we are finding that we're in a moment of meanness that's
Yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
handle.
That might just be 3.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My 3-year-old doesn't like me to sit with her on the couch.
Okay,
Doesn't
good.
like me to sometimes touch her or be in the same room with her.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
also, you're not allowed to go away.
Also, immediately close by in
Yeah.
case she changes her mind. Yeah. of
we have a
course.
lot of that happening. Yeah, it's challenging.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah, it's funny how like it is both 100% true. Like I don't know, I was sitting here reflecting on the like in it phrase, that
Yeah.
like it I feel I don't know, I like it when a parent of older kids is like, "Oh, you're really
Yeah.
oh,
I do
because I
too.
feel like seen, but also at the same time, maybe we don't pay enough respect to like there's always something new, like you said, Lauren, like everyone's
Yeah.
dealing with something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It feels like my friends with older kids have all their challenges that I look forward to, and there's just always something.
I
So
just
right
tune it
now my
out.
thing
I'm
is
like-
tired. Yeah.
Yeah, tired.
Yeah, I feel like
exactly.
tired though. It's like I can handle more when I'm rested. Like it.
Totally. Oh my
it's
God.
like-
I
yeah.
got amazing sleep 2 nights ago because I slept in the guest room and checked out completely, which was a gift to me because I
very
had to work
smart.
the next day, which isn't every day. And I was so well rested that I was like happy as can be. I'm just like, whatever happens is great.
Yeah.
It was special. It was
The
very
stuff about like the growing research on like that a lot of it is just sleep deprivation makes me like happy sad. I'm like I'm
Yeah.
glad we know that, and like oh my God, I wish I just found I
know.
mean there's only so much you can do sometimes, but
I know.
found a
I
way
know.
to or made myself go to the guest room.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I'm going there tonight. So
Good.
just so
Yes,
you know.
Yay.
please. We're excited.
Well, speaking of newborns,
Yeah,
we
we'd
can
love
get
to
in.
talk about the film itself first and then get into the making of the film, which seems to have been like its own Hollywood mother story in a way. Nora, what made you want to make a postpartum depression comedy?
It's so funny. It's such a funny time. I found myself really laughing
It
a
is,
lot,
though.
but with no audience. I was like, this would be funny if people saw that I was holding all these things and, also
my
trying to
God.
boil a bottle. Like I
I
was
had
so
a moment last
confused.
night that was very much another happy day because
What was it?
I had placed a glass of ice water on the floor, and then I was like,
Oh no.
I pointed out to my husband, like, you almost knocked over my water, like, don't knock over the water. And then like I go about I get everyone in bed, all the things happen. I'm like, I finally like lay on the couch, which is where we're sleep training. It's, to each their own, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. And I then my daughter like made a noise in the other room, my older one, and then I just stood up and just kicked over the water. It was like I forgot it was there completely. Whole floor like rug is soaked in ice water. I was just like,
Chekhov's glass of water.
Yeah, exactly.
I literally texted Mike what happened, and he goes, "End of pilot." He was like, perfect. Yeah. I was like, yeah, that was great. So stupid. But yes, go on, please, Nora. I just had to
Well, it is. It's kind of like if a tree falls in the forest, right? Does it really happen? So like if you're mothering in postpartum alone, it's not funny. But like once you share it, maybe the ice water gets funnier when you share it, right? Like when it happened, it sucks.
Yeah.
So I like you said before, Sarah, I mean, we haven't seen this period represented very much in movies, in books, in life. I wanted to become a mother. I was ready. I thought I was ready. I planned, and I still had no idea because I'd never seen it. I'd never had any exposure to the postpartum period. So this, I sort of think of this as the movie that I wish I had seen before becoming a mother.
Same. I think of it that way now too.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Definitely.
Yeah, because I think laughing is healthy, and I think it's a way through. And I think I paired with raw, unflinching honesty, I think we can grow from it. And I think laughter welcomes more people to the table, to the conversation. Hey, it's a comedy. Come and join. Come and have a laugh. Once you sit down, there'll be, some truth as well.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, your decision to cast Lauren in this role, which you might want to tell us a little bit about, felt so important to me because Lauren, obviously you're a fabulous dramatic actor. And you are like, one of our greatest living, improvisational comedians.
That's very nice.
And the physical comedy of, I don't think that I actually had really reflected on the physical comedy of motherhood, and particularly those early days, as being like so rich until seeing this film. Miranda and I have talked at length about the opening scene of this film, which is seemingly like, 1 8-minute cut of Lauren climbing gingerly back into bed after finally putting her baby down and trying not to wake it. And I don't think a lot of actors could pull that off. I was watching you with like your legs in the air, just being like, I am so glad this is who is in this role.
That's so nice. Thank you.
It's like a synchronized swimming routine in the hands, in the hands and feet of Lauren Lapkus.
I mean, obviously, it's one of those things that I think anyone who's had a baby has done. And I never thought that much about it. Like you say, Sarah, I didn't think about the physicality and the sort of weird things that you do.
Oh my God, yeah.
In those nights, I mean, especially, and like, both my husband and I were just laughing so hard through that whole opener. And it made me think about like, I'm 3 years postpartum and it's all still right there. And it feels still so good to be seen, like in that way, to have it reflected back at you and have something that speaks to that experience.
Yeah, it's such an isolating, like, even if you have, obviously you can talk about it with your friends and whatever. I don't know. There's only like so far that you actually get into it most of the time with people. And you're not explaining that thing that happened of like, I crawled into bed. It's like, you kind of just take a lot of it as a given and don't even mention it because it's like, yeah, I had to go to sleep. But like, I definitely have like log rolled out of my bed many times. Like it's like crazy. It looks insane. Like what I'm doing is crazy. It's like pitch black and I'm like, I'll just roll until I get to the end. I'm like really weird stuff.
Well, the other thing that I think you capture so well is the isolation. Like, and it Nora, your comment about the, if the tree falls in the forest, it's like, one of the reasons that both like, I think we don't have these models of postpartum, and that we don't get to talk about how funny it is because like no one's around, right? We're like sitting. I mean, this is a movie where a woman is alone with her baby a lot, and you really capture that well. And I was curious how, as like a filmmaker, you thought about creating that. One thing I wondered is, some of this might have been financial, but you have a really small cast. And you have a really kind of you have very few sets. We're not seeing her out and about in all of these places. The film feels almost claustrophobic in this way.
Yeah.
And for me, that kind of evoked that postpartum feeling of really being kind of hidden from the world. So I see you nodding.
Yes,
Go talk
that's
about it
the
better than I
idea.
do.
Yeah. I mean, so I just remember not being able to move, right? So your baby's on you. You're like, the baby's asleep. Like, I can't reach for the glass of water, the phone, the newspaper. I also remember like being like, what a great time to read an old fashioned newspaper and like crinkle, 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 crinkle. And then the baby wakes up, just these, I felt frozen in the couch, right? And so, nursing or with the baby sleeping on me. I had one vantage point for way longer than I was comfortable with. And that was something that I wanted to explore with the camera, right? So the camera doesn't move. We don't get a lot of vantage points. We are in Joanna's world.
Yeah.
That was something
absolutely.
I wanted the viewer to experience, the expansion of time, the uncomfortable expansion of time. Like, time lasts forever when the baby's awake, and then it shrinks when the baby's asleep. And so I really wanted to play with that like accordion of time. And I think the camera really helps tell that story, because the camera doesn't get to look around where Joanna can't look around. There are very few insert shots or B-roll, frankly, in the film. And that was really by design, that we're not surrounded in this like omniscient world, right? We're right there with Joanna and her own experience.
We haven't actually talked about that, but I'm loving hearing you talk about this. This is a great way for me and Nora to connect about the film.
Yeah, it's pretty
fun.
Hey.
I was just thinking about like how it would be kind of funny if in this movie there were like clips of cute things around their home, or it's like things that like you're like, it doesn't matter right now. You know what I mean? Like it's such a good point. I love that.
And like to interrupt time. I mean, when you cheat time, right? Like the fabulous thing that film can do, like editing is a miracle of cheating time, and it can tell a story beautifully. But this movie does not cheat time. Like we get to, I wanted it to feel like it was really unfolding in real time. At the beginning, Joanna says it's 9 hours, right? Like it's not that 9 hours. Oh my God, that just sounds like the longest possible time. It's longer than a day, right? A day is a day, but 9 hours?
And it's when her husband, Sarah and I, before you joined, we were talking about the film, and that scene where she's saying goodbye to her husband's going to work, and she's facing down a day that will feel like a month, and he's going to go live in the world and live a normal day. And I remember so viscerally that jealousy.
Oh my God,
I had it for anyone. I had it, my mom, I would call my mom. And like part of the reason I would call her was to like hear, I just wanted to hear about her day. I just wanted to hear about a normal day. Like be reassured that someone was living that. Because I didn't know what I was experiencing.
I do think sometimes it would annoy me, this is very recently that I'm talking about. So it's like sometimes it would annoy me, like yesterday.
Like now.
Back before I was evolved.
Yeah, like what did you do yesterday? Like, what did you do today? I'm like, literally, what do you think I fucking did? I was here all day. It's like, I'm not even mad. It's just like the question is ridiculous. Like I'm only now doing things, but I'm like, it's not, what did you do? Even how was your day or how are you? I'm like, it's all kind of annoying. Like, I don't know how I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. Everything's fine. I'm here doing this. This is what this is. Why are you even asking me? It's just,
I
would
of
get, course, it's a normal question, but
aggressive when my husband, and this actually is in the past. So, so there's, it gets better. But when my husband would be like, how was your day? I'd be like, how dare you? How dare you ask about my day?
It is.
It
was absolutely incredible. Everything.
I feel so great about myself. So, and Nora, you were talking about the movement of time, like
Miranda's obsessed with time, by the way.
This is just some
background you should know when you say the T word.
Just in general.
I am.
Just as a concept.
Yeah. So, but the nap timer in the film is such a constant. I forget what she says. Is it just like start timer?
Hey, phone, start timer.
Right. You can't say Alexa. That was.
And then when, we'll get into this, but she makes a friend who eventually is like, could you not do that here? And that felt that that idea that she could stop measuring
Yeah.
felt like a huge shift for her and was
Yes.
very relatable.
Yeah, wake up
Totally.
call. Yeah.
Mhm,
Oh, I was
mhm.
so obsessed with sleep. I mean, I still sort of am, but
Yeah.
it drove me absolutely insane to
Yeah.
try and master it, to try and get it right. I mean,
Yeah.
down to
Mhm.
the minute. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember my brother and sister-in-law were sort of the same way. And my brother at one point was like, I don't know what we're going to do with all of our data. Like they had recorded so much. He's like, do we just
Yeah.
let it go? Like it's so precious, you know?
I know. And I started like this time I just one day opened some like app that I already had. I don't know what it was. And then you could log like, I saw there were like ways to log things in there. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, I guess, and it's like you can log their diapers. And I'm like, what am I doing at that point? Like I didn't even do it, but I was just like considering it for a moment. And even that is crazy.
Well, I
Like,
think
there
you're
is-
trying to have order, right? You're
Yes,
trying
exactly.
to have order. You're trying to do a good job. And
Also, the pediatrician asks you stuff. Like, have you ever
Yes.
called and you're like, I don't know what's going on? And they're like, well, how many wet diapers have they had today? And you're like,
Yeah.
I know.
does this imply I'm supposed to track this? Like,
They would ask me that, and I'm like 100 million. Like I'm like,
Right.
it's so many. Like if it was one, I think then that's worth talking about. But I think there are enough that I don't know, and I think that's good.
right, couldn't you
Yeah.
just ask me, like, does it feel weird? But then, when you're a new parent, you're like, I
You
don't
don't know. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But maybe you would feel like you could spend some time figuring out whether you actually do know if they let you,
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I
don't
loved
know.
Nora, just the movement of time in the film. I think that was I've never seen, I think it was really cool to see that reflected.
Thanks,
Again,
Miranda.
this is the theme
You-
of the movie.
You
but-
basically made, that Christopher Nolan film where you're like in the fighter planes in World War II.
I don't know.
And
Dunkirk.
it's like
Dunkirk.
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 Yeah, it's like
I've
you
never
made-
seen it, but I saw that. I could see
Sarah,
the billboard in my
are
mind.
you my grandpa?
You're fine. Sometimes
Guys, this is just like
I'm really
Dunkirk.
excited about where this is going.
I brought you here to talk about the works of our greatest living director, Christopher Nolan.
Oh my God. I thought
You
you
guys
were
remember
talking about
you guys remember in
Inception. You're talking
Dunkirk?
about
You
time.
guys in Dunkirk
Go
when
ahead.
he's like flying in the plane in Dunkirk, and then like all Dunkirk comes in and stuff, and like you get to see Dunkirk, and
I'm so obsessed with it that I just call all the characters Dunkirk too. So I'm like, and then Dunkirk landed the plane. Sometimes I accompany my husband to his first choice of film, and I'm just saying, you made that postpartum.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's like you're in it. You just like you cry,
okay.
Right.
I
Ooh.
felt like I was in World War II, and for me, I was like, no thanks. Why would anyone want to do this for 3 hours? But postpartum, I can get down with.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. We're in Pilot Joanna. Yeah,
It
we're
is-
in
There
her
you go.
vantage
The
point.
original title was Dunkirk 2.
A postpartum depression comedy.
Dunkirkus.
Anyway.
So, okay, there were a lot of things that, I think I had not really seen on film in this movie. We've talked about the physical comedy. I do want to give a shout out to the Moby rap, or maybe it wasn't branded because you couldn't do that. But I wanted to go back and watch the film and just count how many times that your character, Lauren, takes the baby in or out of the Moby wrap. Did anybody do that? Do we have we have
No, but
data
it'd be a
on
good
that?
drinking game.
It would. Okay, good.
No, I don't think so. But I got very comfortable with the wrap, which I hadn't used with my first kid. And actually, this time I
because
guess
you're
I
a
just
human
used-
being and they're impossible.
I know it is so.
It's not a
crazy what
one-person
they
job.
Expect you to do, especially when it's a newborn. You're like,
Yeah.
you've never done this, and suddenly you're wrapping every which way and hoping it holds. Like it's madness.
It is.
It's so much fabric.
It's
is.
so crazy.
We just threw that thing away. I was like, I hate this. And I
So
like, it was
Miranda
something-
just sent me a link to a shirt that is being
Have you heard about the dad shirt?
I do know the dad shirt.
Is
Yeah.
it a pocket? Is it basically like a pocket?
it's like a t-shirt with a pocket that is the wrap. So you put the baby in the shirt.
Like discreet baby wearing. And I'm
Oh,
like, is
wow.
it
Like, so
are
no
you-
one will
is it
notice.
like, oh, there's no
Oh,
baby
Well,
here. or-
someone lent me the dad shirt with my first. We never used it, but it literally is a big open. It's just a big pocket.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't really feel like supportive.
Safe,
Like it
yeah.
just seems weird. Like you're gonna walk through the house like just swinging your arms with that.
But dads are allowed to do that. Moms
Yeah,
need
you have
this.
a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
old
Moms
chest.
need to
Yeah.
have it like kissable, right? The baby has to be like the head has to be kissable.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
I
Yeah.
have like a very fancy carrier that I got for free, thank you. That
Nice.
is way too expensive, but I watched a 20-minute video on how to use it. I truly was like,
Yeah.
I was using it forever and being like, this feels painful. And then I watched a thing where a woman explains it in great detail for 20 minutes. And I was like, okay, everything I was doing was wrong. It's not intuitive. Like nothing about these things is natural feeling. Like it's just
Right.
like, but then I also, with my first, I barely used any baby wearing thing and I would hold her all the time. But then that also is
Oh,
insane.
sweet God.
Right.
What was I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like, I'm not a big fan. I don't really love, I feel like they're on you all the time anyway. Just like, I
Mhm.
don't,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I don't know.
My second would only nap in the carrier for like the first
Yeah.
3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
That was
So
the
we
story
were
of our
doing-
second as well. My pediatrician, I was like, well, she only sleeps for more than 10 or 15 minutes if she's in the carrier. And my pediatrician, and I'm like, I'm sick of wearing her. And she was like, maybe her naps are just 15 minutes long. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
Maybe
Well, this-
you're a bitch.
I don't know.
I mean, there's a little bit of that.
But it's like, no, I've heard that too with like, well, she only takes 30 minutes. Like, but then every single thing I read is like, they should sleep this amount of time during the day. They need to sleep this amount of
Right.
time.
Or they're
Right.
going to have really
Like-
low SAT scores. That's what
Right,
I
right.
If you were good and they were good, you'd
Yeah,
get
yeah.
2-3 hour naps, and you'd
Yeah.
also be productive during that time.
Her
Yeah.
naps consolidate. That was, we sleep
Mhm.
trained at 4 months,
Mhm.
and then it was kind of like magic. It was like, she
It
was
is
like,
working
oh,
for us
that's good.
amazingly because my daughter
Yeah.
would only nap 30 minutes and we're like, that's what we get.
Wow. I'm realizing, hearing you guys talk, that how much I've blacked out about
Yeah.
the postpartum
Oh yeah.
experience.
It goes away so
Like,
fast.
I'm like,
I feel
did we
yeah.
sleep train? Also, you
Yeah.
know, I was depressed. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
Also that.
and so, you know, it's like I was just kind of a little dead inside. So, you know, that was happening.
you.
And
I'm not dead inside
wonder-
right now. I'm just saying I feel
Great.
you.
No, you're doing great. Because
Well, I would
we've
tell you
evolved.
if I was, is my point.
I mean,
I'm just,
but
I'm not-
also I got to tell you, I had my first kid like eight and a half years ago. We've come a long way, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we got a lot of work to do. Hence, like we should, the field of postpartum depression comedies should be saturated.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You should have,
Yeah.
people should have been like, another one, Nora, right? Like,
Does
we-
the world need another?
We need
postpartum?
more.
Yeah.
And it's been, you know, and it's there's a lot more out there. So I'm not saying like, Lauren, you shouldn't have any problems. I just like, I'd like to think that if I did it now,
Yeah.
I don't know, it'd be like 10% better. And I'd like to think, and there's a question here, it's coming, I promise, that I would ask for help better. I mean, I hate to do victim blaming, but I also wondered, like, Nora, is this a movie about like learning to ask for help? You have this relationship that we referred to earlier that's really beautiful between, you know, Lauren's character and an older woman. It seems like one of the ties that bind them is that they're both kind of going through a developmental stage,
Totally.
right? Becoming
Yeah.
a mother and becoming an old person.
Exactly.
And they have different ways that they're uncomfortable seeking help.
Yeah.
Well, so how did that factor in?
Yeah, they're
for
both
you?
in those sort of invisible stages of womanhood. Yeah, I also think we've come a long way. I was a lot different having a baby 9 years ago than 5 years ago, but also it was my second,
that's
so it's really
interesting.
hard to tell.
Yeah.
And it was
Well-
around COVID, so there was like a different kind of attention on it. But I think that Joanna doesn't know she needs help. And I don't think the onus is on her to ask for
Mhm.
help. I don't think she's hiding the fact that she needs help and just it hasn't come to terms with asking.
Right.
I think that
right.
people around
That is
her
a good point.
might check in a little with a little more depth, with a little bit more curiosity than just assuming and that she is okay or that she'll get over it, or whatever assumptions we have when somebody's like going through like a known hard time. I mean, their hard
Mhm.
time is their unique hard time, and the people closest to us, they do have to have eyes on us. But I remember when I had a newborn for the first time, And I thought I was crying for help. And some of my friends who are like a half a generation above me, so they weren't going through it at the same time. Their kids were older. I told them I was working on this project, and they're like, "Well, you didn't have a hard time when you had a baby." I was like, "Oh, well, I did." And they're like, "You were like, I got it. Like, no help over here." Like, they were like, "We didn't want to give you help because you really were projecting that you got it." And so I think I was like really overcompensating. Like, I'm supposed to know how to do this. Like, I'm an achiever. Like, I got this. Please don't take pity on me. I have a healthy baby. Like, I'm just lucky to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's I think it's tough for the person who is having the hard time to for them to have the responsibility to properly seek out help and support. What a responsibility on top of everything.
Right. I was also like, get out of here. I don't want anyone to see this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It's like, and then when you finally go out, right, and you're like dressed and you feel good, you're just like, this is the good time. Like, I'm not,
I'm not going to dwell on the bad stuff.
When we go out for a drink, I'm not going to be like, I'm a shell of a person.
Yes, exactly.
Like, why?
And it's such a moving target too. Like, you're going through it, right? So it's not like you have that reflection either. So, and it is like a short but long time. It's time, Miranda. It's like, it's just the crazy, conundrum of time.
It is so bizarre. I mean, I feel like when a lot of things obviously happened at the pediatrician, and I remember being like, it was like the first week or whatever that early checkup is, and I was like, when will there be sleep on a schedule? And they're like, oh, yeah, like maybe around 10 weeks or by around 6 months. And you're like, will I be alive?
No, I'll be dead then. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, you're like, what? And you often get that kind of response, I feel like, from kind of professional people. And then it was other mothers for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. This is kind of how our kids respond to us too. When we're like 5 minutes and they're like, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It does take you back to that child brain.
True. My pediatrician had a baby between the time that I had my two kids. So with the second, I feel like we're connecting in a different way when we're talking about all these things to go, I just did this, it's like, it's really nice. I loved her before, but it's just like a cool new layer to it.
I work with kids. I'm an educational psychologist, and like, after I just, even like weeks into being a mother, when like all my job was just to, be depressed and like, be a food source. I was like, should I send a handwritten letter to every parent I've ever worked with being like, I am so sorry. Those recommendations I made were unrealistic. Like, it just like, it is very humbling. And you, Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, but my sources tell me that you signed on to this project or were interested in it before you had kids. And then like in the interim, you became a mother.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Well, when Nora had first sent it, I was so excited to hear from her because we went to high school together and we hadn't been in touch in a while, in any real way. So it was really exciting.
You know what? You're not our first guest from Evanston, Illinois.
No way.
Really? Might we know?
Claire Zolke is
I
a
know that
friend of
name.
the pod.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Evil Witches newsletter. Fabulous.
Okay.
Evanston rep.
Wow.
And you should know, if you don't, that the PTA of Evanston recently passed a provision that pools all the money across public schools. So there's no inequity in PTA funding.
That's great.
Sorry, I just have to, I'm contractually obligated to mention that.
I love Evanston. Oh my goodness. I love that you know that also about Evanston.
It is amazing.
Oh, I know about all the equity PTA hot news. I have a Google alert.
This is good. I wish I could live in Evanston, and for many reasons.
Be a working actor.
Yeah, it's great for children.
Yeah. Sorry, Lauren, you were on topic.
I don't know.
You were saying that you met in high school.
Oh yeah,
and you were the
Nora
smartest,
sent me the
girls.
script. Nora was the coolest, and she sent me a script in 2018, and I loved it so much. And I had actually had a pregnancy loss at that point, so I connected on that level, I think, but it's just a different way.
Yeah.
But I was very interested, and it took a while to get everything moving with this movie, and there were different people working on it that then new people came in. Da, da, da.
I've
Years
heard movies
passed.
can be like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So by the time it was really happening, I had a kid, and that really changed, like it reignited my passion for it that was there the whole time. But just like, I felt so like, oh my God, yes. Like I really understand this in a different way.
Like your pediatrician.
Yes. And I believe in myself that I can play this role, where I think before I was like, I want to, but there was like a new faith in like my ability after having a kid, because I really was able to just connect with the tears and all those things more readily.
Did you have a baby just to, like, are you a method actor?
Because she kept being like, no, I really want to make this. And I was like, let me just try something first.
Give me 9 months, give or take.
I'm interested, like, so I saw that you had a child and then made the movie and then had a child. And I'm curious if the experience of playing this character impacted your second postpartum experience.
Yeah, what's kind of funny is more that I like hear Joanna and myself talking. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, this is like, it just feels like I'm having another happy day moments. But it's like a cute way to like, brand my experience. So that's kind of nice. But I think it helps a lot with, with your obsession with time. It's having a second kid is very helpful because it's not so abstract, like what's going to happen next. Like I can see all the steps that are going to happen, and then she'll be really funny and run around being funny with my older one. And that'll be so great. And so I'm able to enjoy this period more. And I think doing the movie and tapping into this conversation with people has been really, really good too, especially in this time. Like it's been cool. We've been like promoting and talking about this movie during my pregnancy and then having a baby. So it's like kind of great. Yeah. But yeah, I think with the second, I'm able to have more of a bird's eye view in a good way and be like, oh, this is all fine. Like it is funnier to me this time. And I'm like, oh, my body will figure itself out. Like I'll do all the things and like then it'll be fine. Like I'm trying to be, I think, I'm still very hard on myself, but I think compared to how I was the first time, I think I'm way more understanding and compassionate to myself than I was.
That's the direction to move in.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
You're doing great. Well, you mentioned, Lauren, that I didn't think about this, like what it must be like to be on, doing press for this movie and kind of surrounded by people who are interested in motherhood. And it also sounds like, reading about your set, that you also kind of created this community of people who were like talking about care and interested in it. The word on the street is that you had 8-hour work days, and then you did something again, another first as far as I've seen, that was just totally mind blowing, which is that you thanked your on-set childcare provider in the opening credits of your film.
That.
Oh, my friend told me that was very moving. I meant to tell you that.
Like, so I watched it with my husband and our nanny, who is now, she came in when my second child was 8 weeks old, and now she's 3. And we just sort of separated as my 3-year-old went to preschool.
Some people gain a nanny, other people lose a nanny.
Yeah, so I gained mine from someone going to school.
Yeah.
This was
there you go.
the cycle of life. Yeah.
But so Darla, who we love, still lives with us. Like she lives.
Oh, nice.
As part of our house. Anyway,
she's so cute.
She's the best. So she watched it with us. I was like, and she's actually becoming a postpartum doula. That's her.
Wow.
She's like studying that. So I was like, you should come watch this with us.
Cool.
So we watched it, and she was so moved by the childcare mentions. It's at the opening credits, and then at the end, it's names. It's like everybody's names, right?
Yeah.
And that was so meaningful to her, and it was really powerful to see to me. And but yeah, she was very moved by it.
Yeah. What was it like to be on a set where there was a plan to thank the childcare provider in the opening credits?
Well, thanks for acknowledging that. I mean, so there's taking care of your own people, right? There's taking care of your cast and your crew. And that in and of itself is a reward, because everyone, it's a good thing to do. It boosts morale and creativity. Everyone's better rested and can come to work with more ideas and an ability to be really nimble, and also a priority to be efficient, and to come in with ideas and plans and preparation, so that you can feel unhurried. It's not just about rushing and getting through those 8 hours. It really, I actually never really felt rushed.
Me neither. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad.
Another street Oscar. Your star just said she never felt rushed.
But then like there's this next level, which is making it a repeatable thing, right? That's the most important thing, is you set a precedent, especially with a independent film, right? A small independent film. If we can do it, anyone should be able to do it, right? It's literally a matter of budgetary priority and will. Though if you have those two things, you can do it. And if that is on the like top list of things that are important to the production, why not? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It is, so many more complicated things are executed in a movie. Coordinating with a nanny agency and figuring out what people's hours are of need. It's really, really doable.
Yeah,
and
urbansitter.com. It's like,
right, exactly. And actually the mental labor, taking that mental labor off of people's plate is really nice too. Just to, whether they use the care or not, you open that door, you say, this is an accessible workplace. Like, we want parents to be here. We actually think that parents have perhaps even more to offer than they did before they became parents. Like, I'm a more productive person. I've got more ideas. And I can certainly like do a lot more in an hour than I used to. Right? But so putting the childcare credits at the top were a way to say, this is important to us, and it amplifies the message. And I think that's like the second piece. So it's like, you take care of your people, and then you got to talk about it and amplify that message, so that it's not just your production that does it, but that it can be like, now it's like, oh, did you hear they didn't do 8 hours and offer childcare? Rude,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the dream. What was it like for you, Lauren?
It was amazing. I think when it was first floated, I guess I considered it being floated, even though it was pretty firm from the start that was the plan. But I was like, they're talking about 8 hours. It's really cute how they keep saying 8 hours. Like, it was just like, I just didn't like think that would happen at all. And I was fine with that. I was like, I'm so used to 12-hour work days on movies or longer. And just going like, yeah, they said 8 hours. That would be really cool. Whatever. And then getting to wake up with my daughter, go to work the same hours every day. We did like 9 to 5 or whatever, literally. And then come home, and then I was able to like have dinner and put her to bed and do all the things. It was so nice. And it also just made it feel, I think, really nice on my family, because I was in Evanston. We were shooting in Evanston, and that's where I'm from. So I was with my family there, and my husband was there. And so like, they were my childcare during the movie by my choice. And I made them do it. But they all wanted to do that. But to know that I wasn't going to be like pushing that to its limit was also what made that doable. Like, oh, I will be home at 5. Like, it's every day. And that was great. It was, and then I think it really, just the 8-hour days, whether our cast or crew had kids or not, the morale was up the entire time, because no one was being worked to the bone, and no one was super tired. Like, it was just a really good energy for the set, to feel like everyone's time is being respected. It was cool.
Yes, more of that.
Value care.
Well, and you mentioned, in one of the pieces that that you were interviewed in talking about this, you mentioned too that that there are also other kinds of caregivers that are on the set, or people, this is a crazy idea, who aren't caregivers but just don't want to work a 12-hour day.
Exactly.
Because that's, but
they like to also see their friends. And have a
they
good
be
time.
a person. So that, like, that these kinds of things, I always talk about the curb cuts, it's like are helpful for everyone. Accessibility helps everyone.
Exactly.
Nora, you mentioned you made a reference to being more productive since you were a mother. I do hear that from a lot of people. It's hard for me to measure my productivity because it's generally so there's like an ADHD filter for that experience but I do hear that from a lot of folks. I wonder if, before we wrap up, you either of you wanted to talk about how your experience to your art or your work has changed since becoming a mother?
It puts a preciousness on the time. I mean, so
Yeah.
I mean, before I became a mother, I was primarily an actor, almost exclusively an actor, more than writing and directing. And
I should say you also act in the film and you're fabulous.
oh, thank
And
you.
I definitely had that experience where I was like, I know the director's in here somewhere. And I was like, that was like a big role.
Yeah.
That was great. And it was also a role that I think, brought out this fact that, all women are kind of connected around this fact that we bear children, whether we want to or not, whether or not we are mothers or wherever we are in that journey. But sorry, I just had to shout you out.
Oh yeah. I mean,
fabulous.
also it took me a really long time to conceive. And so that was that I knew and the isolation I felt ready to become a mother, being around other people who already were, and we're talking about all the diapers and stuff like that. I felt totally disconnected. I wanted to include that in the story too, that just because we're all childbearing age doesn't mean that we have everything in common or are going to like parent with the same style or values or whatever.
Yeah.
In terms of like how I relate to time, when I would be going to these auditions for commercials, let's say, and I would bring my baby with me with this like romantic notion that like the people in the waiting room would hold my baby because I saw other people do it. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be one of those moms that just like brings her baby to auditions. And it's like, everyone's
like
going to like pass her around. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'll be the change. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember she just like wailed during a partner audition. So it was like me and this other guy. And I just feel like, oh my God, I've like totally botched his audition. Like, I forget mine. I wasn't,
I heard
this
that
was
guy's
hopeless.
career is in the dumps right now.
And he has no kids for sure.
Yeah.
It was just like, so I felt such a, I was both humiliated and I felt terrible. I was like, okay, this isn't really working. And so I really had to redefine. I mean, it was part of the identity shift. Like, what am I now? Yeah. But also like, what do I want when I do get those little pockets of time? Better be something that feels really, really special and worth it. So it has something to do with productivity, but I also think it means like that I am spending time and energy where I want to more. I mean, if I'm lucky, right? I mean, we still have to do a lot of things that we don't want to do. But I redirected.
Pickier. I think we do get picky. I got way pickier about if you have a friend, like not to be, but if you have a friend that you realize you don't actually like hanging out with that much, suddenly you're like, oh, why do I meet them for drinks? Like
Yes. Oh yeah, there's definitely no time for that. Like that's amazing how that changes. Where the idea of like meeting up with someone, you're like, this is a huge deal that I am leaving at bedtime.
Right.
Okay?
I really like you.
Yeah. I do agenda. Yeah. I do agendas sometimes. Like sometimes me and some of my closest friends, like there'll be a Google invite. And then I'm like, these are the 8 things that I want to talk about. Because like, I don't know when this is going to happen again. And, it better be meaty. I just don't want to like hear again about like, some complaint about your work.
That is such a good point. Like, you're like, let's get into some other shit right now.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of friends. No, mostly people like it. Lauren, what about you? How has your relationship to work changed?
Oh, yeah. I think being pickier with my time for sure, even with just like improv shows and stuff like that. Like it's a much bigger deal to go out and do a show. So I try to just make it something that I'm really excited to do. And it's also part of my social life. So I'm like, well, I want to see these friends at that. So I'm going to go do that. It changes. Yeah. And I mean, I think in terms of using your time, I feel so grateful now that I have help because I'm able to get more done. But I think just the last years have pretty much been me and my husband, like kind of prioritizing each other's schedules. Like, okay, your thing is more important than my thing today. So you get to do your thing and I don't get to do my thing, or like, and that's really hard. Like that you can kind of only do that for so long before like, I don't know, you just
the marriage
start melting.
collapse.
Yeah, like it's not great to be like, well, my work is more important than your social thing every time. It's like, or vice versa, or my social thing is actually really important because I have to, because I haven't done that in a long time, and you need to do this, or whatever it is. Like just sort of navigating like what is important to us. When we also would like to go out together sometime. Like that doesn't happen either. It's like, so
or do something dumb. Sometimes I'm like, I want to do
Right.
something that's not
I'm literally like, I want to see
important.
a movie. I want to like
A
just
bad one.
like, I want to do something and not think about anything. Like,
Yeah.
I don't do that ever. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, those priorities and talking is also fun. But yeah, I mean, even like, I think I tend to fill my schedule, which I've always been like this. I tend to like fill my schedule since I'm very freelance. Like it's all based on like what I have time to do when I can do it. I can fill my days very quickly. And I'm looking at November right now and I'm like, it's really open. And I'm like, oh, I have nothing in November, which is like, that's not going to be true. As I get emails, I will start to put things on all of those dates. But I want to try to like save some pockets where I'm just doing whatever I want to do. I also really want to exercise and there's no time. Okay, that's just my rant about.
Well, you have a nanny now. It's
now I do, but
I book shape.
I booked a new podcast.
I'm sorry. I'm always like excuses. Yeah. Get your body back. Well, we're hitting our time, and I hear like my son, starting to. I mean, he's being cared for by his dad right now, but starting to enter my room, my closet.
Yeah.
We got to let you go, but before we do you have any culture recommendations for us for our listeners? Culture that you're consuming with your children that you're a part of, other than this phenomenal freaking movie that everybody should go see. And by the way, just one more street Oscar, 91 minutes. Am I right?
Yes.
It's exactly
91 minutes. And that is being the change. Yeah. Talk about Dunkirk. Dunkirk is like 5.5 hours. And then it's not even the director's cut. But no, we have, as a society, have gotten way too inured to movies that are long for no reason.
Yeah.
And you, Nora, are going to take us out of the dark ages back to the 90-minute.
90 minutes. That's that's
all
how
you
long
need.
a story takes. Yes.
Yeah. They got it in the 80s. Why did we forget?
Yes,
I don't know.
exactly.
So true.
Because of Christopher Nolan, honestly. Lauren, you were champing at the bit over there.
I was excited. I want to recommend All Fours by Miranda July. Have you read this book?
Oh my God.
We've read it. We've talked about it.
Yeah, but I've got a backup.
Okay.
You haven't read it, Nora?
No, I
She was going to say
it was
that
hers
too.
too.
But wait,
Oh.
say more
Culture
about
wreck.
it. Say more, Lauren.
I just loved it so much.
Yeah,
it's been
great.
a long time since I have read a novel that I could not put down. Like I just couldn't wait to go see what happens next. And I love all of her writing. But it was really, really special. And I think the parenting element was really interesting. The marriage element was really interesting. And then the I don't want to give anything away, but the other stuff was interesting too. And I just loved it. I felt like it was really sort of on the pulse of what a lot of people in my life are talking about. Different. I know people who are doing exploratory activities in their lives, and I also know people who aren't at all. And it's all just very, very interesting. So I love to talk about all that stuff. And I felt like she just lifts up the rug and you can see everything. It's just like so
there's some
good.
shit under there.
Yeah.
It's juicy too.
Yeah.
She also
I was
really
gonna say
slows
it's
down
impressive because you're not even 40 yet, Lauren. And you're in the All Fours zeitgeist. It's a little precocious of you.
Isn't it silly? I've always liked to be the young one. I'm 39.
Yeah, she does slow down time in it, Nora. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's like moment to moment to moment, and then she changes her mind, and then she changes her mind, and then she changes her mind. It's a wild ride time wise, I think.
Is there going to be an All Fours movie? And
don't you think? I mean, it's
Lauren?
gotten so buzzy.
Nora?
Seems impossible. I feel like she's like a medium specific. Like if she's writing a book, she's writing a book. But I don't know.
And I feel like the narrator element of it, it's like, I don't know if I can just watch someone not say all of the stuff. The way she describes everything is half of what I love so much about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. But I mean, if she did it, I would see it.
Are you guys jazzed for Night Bitch? Have you?
Yeah.
Yes, my friend Mary Holland is in that. I'm very excited for her. I can't wait to see that. It looks so great. Is it available to me at this time or no? It's not yet.
Open. It's out December 6th. Not that.
Okay.
But people have seen it. I mean, Janet saw it.
Yes, there are. I am sure in LA you could get your eyeballs
for sure
on some Night Bitch. I'm curiously, actually, Lauren, I probably could use your help with the Night Bitch song that I'm trying to write. Just like just like an enthusiastic.
Working on my night, bitch.
That's exactly. That was the first one that came to mind. And then, I doubted my first impulse.
You should,
and I tried to get more complicated. Right. I know, it is. Yeah. Trying to get be a crazy canine sitch. I don't know. Yeah,
that's perfect.
Something. Yeah,
We're
great.
working on it. We'll get there.
All right. Well, all fours times 4.
Yep.
I think we've got
Nora.
4, 8 thumbs up. Oh no, you have.
Just
Nora had another. Oh, you're just starting it.
I know. I've been saving it. I know it's gonna be so good that I've been saving it.
I might read it again. Which I
know.
Never
I was gonna
do.
Say, go back.
Yeah,
it's a sure thing.
Yeah. Nora, what's your other thing?
Oh, my backup. It's worth being a first prize too. The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. Do you guys know this book? It's a kind of like a pick up, put down book, which I think is really nice in this stage of life. And I mean, literally, you can just like pick a page, and it's a deep dive into.
I can read a page.
Right, exactly. The creative process, and like there's some good stories, and I just find it totally inspiring and honest. I love it.
Cool.
Yeah, Rick Rubin, he's cool. He can hang.
He can hang.
I think, yeah.
That's what I'm getting from the Instagram stories I see about him.
Oh, wow. I'm sure once they hear this podcast, once the AI or whatever, Russia hears this, they'll send me those too.
Yeah. You're going to get them today.
I will watch those. Well, thank you, Lauren and Nora, for joining us today.
This was so fun.
Congratulations on your tremendous film. And
thank you.
And have so much fun continuing to talk about it. We will.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was so fun
much.
talking to you guys. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to The Mother of It All. And like my mom always said, I'll be back in 9 hours. The Mother of It All is produced by Opus Knox Media with music from It's Electric. If you liked this episode, why not send it to a friend right now? Go on, we'll wait. You can follow us on Substack at themotherofitall.substack.com, where subscribing will get you episodes and bonus posts in your inbox and connect you with the Mother of It All listener community. Plus, become a paid subscriber and get a hot off the presses Mother of It All canvas tote. We're also on Instagram at The Mother of It All, and you can email us anytime with ideas or feedback at motherculturepod@gmail.com.